Gouie's here, he's the newest rival in Rivals 2, but with him came a patch with a ton of balance changes, both to characters and the entire system. So let's go ahead and go through it, and see what's up. First, we have It's the Big Update Day. We've got a new rival, custom gameplay modifiers so you can play your way, multiple new sales and bundles, matchmaking improvements, the ability to queue doubles and free-for-all with 2 local players, and a ton of gameplay balance updates. Let's go ahead and dive all into the details. First up, we have our new rival Gouie. Gouie, the Lost Mirelling, joins our roster as our 7th new rival. Despite his tragic backstory, the Gouie guy is still having fun, and is ready to spread some mischief with you and your friends. Gouie has multiple abilities that make him great for beginners, like extra jumps, a super armored down special, tons of air control for being a floaty, and he has the unique ability to go from the lightest character to the game to one of the heaviest, so you can play him with different styles. Get ready to throw goobers, sling slime, and be just a little evil with our newest rival. Gouie is available right now for free, with all of our standard content included with a new rival release. This includes an arcade mode, target test, progression unlocks, achievements, and a slew of fun cosmetics for our Gouie lad. If you're looking for some tips and tricks for Gouie, make sure to search these YouTube channels to find our official creator program and partners. Let's see, am I in here? I'm not. Oh my god, wait, that's shady. No, I low-key, like, these videos, I checked them out, they are very, very good. Y'all should go show them some love. I really liked Nurse's video as well. I really liked what she put out. Next, Rivals 2 is 50% off, and then our pool party bundles are 20% off. So if you're a fan of the summer skins and you didn't pick those up, now's a good time. You should use code LASTSTOCK though, I would appreciate it. Next, we have some Gouie Twitch drops. To celebrate Gouie's launch on Twitch, we'll be running Twitch drops for 2 weeks starting today. Pick up 1,000 Ether Coins by watching 1 hour, a new purple palette for Gouie by watching 2 hours, and 100 Ether Bucks for watching 3 hours on any stream running Rivals 2. Next, we have some new shop items. So we have this Louis launch bundle. It's $20, so it's a little bit expensive, but this is an epic tier skin, so it will have custom sound effects and a custom wind jingle. Plus, it comes with a free taunt and then a handful of currency. So I think this is worth it. I think he looks super, super cute here. And then we also have the Mired Skins bundle. So these are basically if all of the water elemental fighters became Gouie like Gouie. I think these look really cool. I kind of hope to see more skins like this for the rest of the cast, where everyone gets a skin theme. And it's only $20 for 4 skins. I feel like that's a pretty good deal. But if you're looking to be a big spender today, you can drop $34.99 to get the Louis bundle and the Mired skins all together. I think it's kind of cool. You get a little $5 discount. I'm not sure how many people will actually be picking this one up, but if you're one of those people, let's see, use code LASTSTOCK, I think it would look so good on you. Next, Gouie has a Mallard Gouie skin and a black palette. I believe he also has a cool blue palette, at least that was on my creator beta. I'm not sure if that one maybe got lost along the way, but I think it's in there somewhere, I would bet. Next, let's go ahead and get into the new features and matchmaking improvements. First up, we have some gameplay modifiers. These caused a little bit of a stir on twitter.com. They say, we've added new gameplay modifier settings. Mix and match major mechanics to your heart's content with this new feature. Available in local matches and online lobbies. Find them in the match section of the settings menu. So these you can turn off or on floor hug, you can turn on or off grabs, ledges, shields, Drifty Eye is in there. There's a lot of really fun stuff you can do. I played against Nurse on the content creator beta. I don't know if this footage will ever surface, I hope it does not. But she just ran at me with Rano and she pressed every button and I could not floor hug it. So, it's super, super fun. It feels really crazy unbalanced, but it is a really, really good time. I saw some people were upset at this because the devs were like, we think that you're going to try this and not actually like it competitively, like we think it'll be fun, but I think that the core mechanics of Rivals 2 are good. And after I played it, I do agree with the devs. I think that they were onto something with that one. It feels so fun to play this mode, but definitely not a bracket-ready mode, if you know what I mean. Next, we have matchmaking improvements, though. Our backend now tracks dodges, leaving a match-made mode without playing a match, and can apply a 12-hour ban to repeat offenders to prevent them from continuing to matchmake. We're turning on the tracking today, and after we confirm it looks good, we will begin enacting bans later this week. This is really glad to see. I know that a lot of people have been running into dodgers on the ranked modes, or the unranked modes, right? So, like, not the casual items modes necessarily, but the mode where you're not playing ranked, it's just like the normal standard rules, but it's matchmaking with no ratings. And I know that's definitely been a big problem for the past few months, so I'm very glad to see that this got addressed. I hope that it actually feels correct. I know sometimes games will try to implement punishments like this, and they can overextend or underextend, but I imagine if it's just a 12-hour ban for matchmaking, like, that's not the end of the world, right? Like, it's like, okay, you can go outside, you can do a little dusting and vacuuming in that time, right? That's not the worst thing ever. Next, we do have a new feature for queuing doubles, crews, and free-for-all locally. As requested, you can now queue with other players locally at the same PC to find online opponents for doubles, crews, and free-for-all. You can also add local players to lobbies so your friend at your house can play with you and your online friends. This is actually really sick. I feel like in the past I've had friends over and we didn't really want to play Rivals 1v1, let's say if we played a lot against each other, but maybe we still wanted to play a little game. This gives us something more to do. Next, we're moving on to our gameplay changes. This is the part you guys were all waiting for, and they say it's been a whole season since our last big balance patch. So after a few months of ladder and tournament matches, we have a bunch of gameplay changes to include with the Gouie update. You can see our reasoning behind impactful changes with the bullet points attached to each one. First, I'm going to go over the general changes, and then we'll go and break down each character. I know that each character received a universal balance pass, so there's a few things that repeat and are given to each character. Those I won't be reading out loud because they're universal, but everything else I will cover. So sit back, relax, let's get into it. First up, they're going to go ahead and list all of our new gameplay modifiers. I'm not going to go through them all, feel free to check them out in game. However, there are things like knockback multipliers, no floor hug, no ledges, like I said, shield damage multipliers, and then crouch cancel multipliers as well. So you can kind of have full control of the game if you want. Next, we have some new advanced control options, hold to taunt. This option prevents taunting unless the button is held for 8 frames. This prevents accidental taunts when lightly brushing the taunt button without the need to enable D-pad movement. This also affects pressing taunt in the air. So this is really sick, you're not going to get an accidental taunt anymore, but if you like the old-fashioned way, you can set it the old-fashioned way. All characters now have small hurt boxes along the ground during their dash run and run turn states. This prevents certain dash animations from avoiding low-hitting attacks like Claire and down tilt. Previously, only Raster had this hurt box, but now it's been applied universally. I know that, you know how Zetterburn Fire can go away if a character with iframe steps on it? Or Kane would actually always miss one part of the fire because his legs both pick up at the same time for like 1 frame. So this will fix something like that. Next, holding up on the joystick will now cause a full hop if the jump was started with tap jump. Previously, it would cause a full hop if tap jump was enabled at all, meaning that you could not short hop while holding up. Wall jump vertical speed will now decay by 15% of its current value with each use, with a minimum of 50% of the default speed. The decay resets when touching the ground, grabbing the ledge, or hitting an opponent, but it won't reset if you are hit. This increases the reward for repeatedly knocking an opponent off stage, since each time they wall jump in a single recovery, the height gained will significantly decrease. I think this is a really cool change. It makes characters like Zetterburn, where you're hitting him maybe multiple times off stage in one recovery, a lot worse at his recovery. However, I haven't fully tested this one yet, so in theory I rock with this, but it might feel a little different in game, but I think it's a good change. During states where you can aerial drift, you can now wall jump without holding your joystick towards the wall if you've used all of your double jumps, unless you're already in the double jump state. You can no longer drift away from a wall if you've used all your double jumps and have a jump input in your buffer. These two changes combined prevent players from accidentally drifting away from a wall before their buffered wall jump input was processed. So I like this a lot. You're going to get better inputs at the wall, it's going to be more consistent. Next, plat drop is now processed before attack inputs. This allows you to buffer plat drop aerials, where previously you would just get a grounded attack on the platform. I think that's a good change. It just makes plat dropping more consistent and easier across the board. And they also say they fixed a bug that caused characters to instantly throw an item after grabbing it with a tilt input, while dashing when suppressed dash attack was enabled. So just a really quick bug fix there. A new character stat was added, a hit stun max fall speed. We already had the option to change a character's gravity during a hit stun, but that only affected the early frames of hit stun until their vertical speed reached their max fall speed. A set number of frames were set for each character. Now we can edit their max fall speed in hit stun, which affects knockback trajectory for the entire duration of hit stun after reaching their max fall speed, potentially making a much bigger difference on high knockback hits. For a character with higher hit stun max fall speed than their normal max fall speed, let's say Absa, Gouie, etc., their total downward velocity will ease into the normal max fall speed instead of leaving them falling faster than they normally can without a fast fall. So basically, overall, you're going to feel a little bit different in hit stun. I imagine most of these values are not notably tweaked from the values that were last patch, however. but we'll see what changed up. Standing grab ranges decreased almost universally. The only characters whose grab ranges were not reduced were Raster, Maple, Absa, and Olympia, as their grabs are already very short range. The main goal of this change is to increase the effectiveness of spacing moves on shield, since shield grabs won't be able to reach the attacker as easy. Generally, characters with the largest grab ranges got the most dramatic grab range decrease, while those with shorter grab ranges were only decreased slightly. This is a universal change I was talking about. I might note if a character had a really big nerf to their grab range, but just know that outside of those 4 characters, everyone's been hit at least a little bit on their grab. Next, standing grab startup has gone from 7 to 6 frames. We're reverting the grab startup nerf from when shield grabs became bufferable again because of the following change. The input buffer will now be shortened to 2 frames at the end of shield stun, except when perfect shielding, and at the end of hit stun land after floor hugging. Previously, all defensive options out of shield and floor hug could be fully buffered, making them frame perfect more often than not. In order to counter these frame perfect options, the attacker needed some space and time to their attacks nearly perfectly, making approaching a shield more risky than what was intended. This change gives the attacker more leniency with their offense, since the defender now has to time their counterattacks more tightly. As we've seen with previous versions of the game where shield grabs weren't bufferable, this does make dealing with properly spaced and timed pressure harder. But now that we've tested the alternative, we've decided that we'd rather these interactions favor the attacker, as it gives players more incentive to approach. To reduce this imbalance, we've implemented the following change. If an attack hit a shield that didn't hit the player, the input buffer will now be shortened to 2 frames on its as soon as actionable frame, its landing lag frame, or its cancel frame if it's a jab. This makes shield pressure an even playing field where both players need to time their next move. Without this change, quick tilts that were already barely punishable on shield would be a bit too safe, for how easy they are to repeatedly throw out. This still gives the attacker an advantage, since they can input their follow-up at a consistent timing instead of needing to react when their opponent does. Next, shield health gained on hit has been reduced from 50% to 25% of the attack's damage. Shields are regaining health a little bit too quickly, so reducing the gain by half. This also buffs Edelis's frozen shield mechanic. I like this change. I think the idea that being aggressive gives you your shield back is really cool, but I definitely do agree you never really saw any shield breaks, that wasn't something super common, so I'm a fan of that. Shield dropping during the shield release state will now require a down press if you were holding down when you started shielding. This is how shield dropping already works in the shield start and shield states, so the input will now be consistent. Previously, you would shield drop anytime you were holding down in the shield release state, which frequently led to unintentional shield drops. So that should just be a little bit more intentional there. Tech inputs should now be accepted within the first 2 frames of hit pause. While this extends to the tech input window for all attacks, it's mostly intended to help teching against quick multi-hit moves. Previously, attempting to wall tech a move with multiple low hit pause moves like Galvin Forward Special when hit far enough away from the wall to prevent an instant wall tech was essentially random, with a low chance that your tech input would be successful, since there were barely any hit pause frames per hit than the frames between the hits. Now, hits with very small hit pause values will barely affect your tech inputs at all and will feel less random to tech. So that's good, less RNG there, but those kind of moves aren't super common. Gouie's down air might be one of them that interacts that way, but glad to see that they're more smooth now. Vertical speed thresholds for bouncing off the ground after being spiked in the air has gone from 26 to 40 centimeters a frame. Minimum remaining hit stun frames required for bouncing off the ground after being spiked in the air has gone from 60 to 30. Previously, the conditions for bouncing off the ground after being spiked in the air were too strict, so it basically never happened. These new values will make it much more feasible and will lead to more varied combos at high percents. Now, you can no longer wall tech while in tumble. This interaction allowed players to drift into the wall and tech it, even after being launched in the opposite direction. So this would be like if somebody clicked like a strong at ledge and then you kind of like wall teched it and then you survived, right? That won't be happening anymore. Minimum horizontal speed required to bounce off a wall has gone from 12 to 10. Previously, characters would wall slide along walls instead of bouncing off of them, even while moving towards them with moderate horizontal speed. So we're lowering the threshold to cause the move to wall bounce. I know that Orcane Up B, you would sometimes bounce off the wall with it, and then you would not be able to get your wall jump from it. So hopefully that fixes that up. Post-parry forced ledge hang duration has gone from 5 to 40, now accompanied by a dark overlay on the character. You can now release ledge during the post-parry forced ledge hang to instantly go into the ledge slip state for 28 frames. Previously, the reward for parrying recovery moves was so low that the recovering player could essentially ignore it entirely in most cases. These changes significantly increase the reward for parrying offstage opponents, as they will be vulnerable to attacks after grabbing the ledge. The parried player can opt to release ledge to avoid otherwise guaranteed punishment, at the expense of putting them in a vulnerable state low offstage away from the wall. I really liked this change on the content creator beta I got to play. It made punishing characters that you got to parry on a lot more consistently, so you were going for parry more often, and then if you whiffed it, the person recovering would be able to hit you, obviously. So it kind of added more of a rock, paper, scissors mechanic, and it made ledge guarding a little bit easier into characters that normally like to poke you above the ledge. Command grabs and hit grabs can now be parried while invulnerable. This allows you to parry grabs like normal after respawning. Air acceleration will now be capped at 0.5 after being parried. This reduces the ability to adjust your trajectory after getting parried, which makes it harder to reach a wall or ledge to cancel your attack. Adjusted many rolls, tech rolls, get-up rolls, and ledge roll speeds. Some rolls were going much too far, making them way too safe when trying to escape pressure, while some characters had high roll speeds to offset their hurtbox width. They went a bit too far, even when taking that width into account. In general, tech roll and get-up roll speeds have now been reduced almost globally, reducing the distance that players need to cover in order to tech chase. A few ledge rolls have been shortened, while a few were made longer, just to eliminate some outliers. Numerical details can be found in the character-specific sections. This one I'll also note if there's a really crazy change, but I probably won't be noting universal changes today, just to save us all some time and keep me from saying Zetterburn has gone from 1 to 3, right? That doesn't really help us all the time. Next, with stages, they've removed the cap on vertical knockback speeds when knocking off the walls of Frozen Harbor. Previously, bouncing off the Frozen Harbor walls would cap your vertical speed to 20 centimeters a frame, which meant players would rarely die even without teching. Now, missing the wall tech will be more punishing. For a quick bug fix, they fixed a bug that allowed players to adjust their knockback angle with DI every time they bounced off the wall in Frozen Harbor. And they fixed a bug that prevented wind VFX from spawning Armada flagships platforms when they were about to move. So just to be sure we're all on the same page, these are the casual stages, these are not the ranked stages. So the ranked stages should feel pretty much the same. First up with our character-specific patches though, we have Zetterburn. His tech roll speed has only gone down by 2, his get-up roll speed has gone down by 1.5, and his ledge roll speed has gone down by 3. So these will probably be pretty general for most of the cast to be in those numbers. His stun max fall speed has gone from 28 to 28.3. This ends up keeping the resistance to vertical KOs approximately the same as he was before. His double jump animation has been raised slightly. This reduces the disjoint of his old ledge grab box when double jumping, so he won't go quite up as high to be able to grab that ledge, not as many magnet hands now. His standing grab was reduced as part of the universal change, and his aerial down special now prevents aerial opponents from ground bouncing after hitting them. With the newly lowered ground bounce threshold, this move was causing ground bounces at higher percents, preventing it from comboing whenever you landed a hit. Down air used to be active for 4 frames, it's now just 3. The recovery has been adjusted to preserve the full move duration. The down air star spot radius has gone from 80 to 75. The hitbox has been moved 5 centimeters down to preserve its downward range, and the down air sweet spot has been moved 15 centimeters downwards. This move was taking up a bit too much space for how much reward it has. So overall, the move is going to be a little bit lower. It's not going to be quite as above Zetterburn anymore. However, I have a feeling this move is still going to be really good. I don't think that the problem previously was that the move was too high. I do think the move is too generous, but it was probably for other reasons. I'm a little bit disappointed in the lack of changes to Zetterburn. I feel like he should always be a high tier character. I feel like his kit rewards aggression and rewards high APM gameplay, which I think is important in a fighting game. However, I feel like Zetterburn has been really good for a really long time, so while I would not have done notable nerfs, I definitely think that if I was in charge of this patch, I would have liked to have seen a few more nerfs come Zetterburn's way, just to shave off how easy some of his advantage state moves are, where they can kind of connect into each other over and over. That feels a little whack that those were not addressed here, right? But you know what, maybe that universal recovery change is going to kind of mess him up, so maybe that's his secret nerf, I'm not too sure. Next, let's move on to Rano. He's had these roll speeds all changed up, and his standing grab range was reduced. Bubble cooldown when hitting an opponent has gone from 30 to 60 frames. Previously, attacks with extremely high hit pause, such as Claire and Tippers, would cause the bubble to come off cooldown before Rano got launched, effectively disabling this mechanic for those attacks. Up special dive kick landing lag has gone from 32 to 36. Previously, it was almost always better to use the dive kick when landing on stage with up special, as the reduced airtime was shorter than the extra landing lag. With these few extra frames, Ronu will sometimes want to choose to avoid the dive kick option and get less lag. Up special dive kick's upper hitbox now only exists on the first active frame. This move had a bit too much of an upward range, making it difficult to attack from above, which didn't see fit as a dive kick. So this entire hitbox that kind of covers Ronu's head is just gone. If you were a big fan of this hitbox, I'm really sorry, it is not there anymore. Up special dive kick lower hitbox has been moved down slightly, so you can see it's a little bit lower. This makes it less inversely disjointed, making it better at beating moves from above, so you'll be able to poke at people a bit better. Aerial Drift after using up special spinning Poison Dart Storm until reaching special fall window has gone from 0.64 to 0.25. This makes it less ambiguous whether he'll land after using this move, allowing the opponent to punish it when used in a bad spot. I've seen clips of this from the content creator build and it's pretty notable, he does not drift very far at all now. Forward air recovery has gone from 24 to 28. This move is still recovering too quickly after whiffing off stage, allowing Rondo to follow up with another forward air immediately afterwards. Forward air sour spot knockback has also been edited. This makes it send further at higher percents, forcing Rondo to cover more distance in order to secure a follow-up. So this is kind of silly. This is the change I was hoping to see for Zetterburn, where Zetterburn's moves, they have like a weak hit and a strong hit, and the weak hits connect into the strong hits pretty easy. But it looks like Rondo got whacked with this one, which I'm not mad about, right? But again, curious why Zetterburn did not receive a pass at this too. Forward strong backmost sour spot active frame has gone from 2 to 1. This hitbox is supposed to represent the smear frames of the attack, but it lingered for an extra frame, which led to some weird interactions where it would hit opponents behind him. Moving on to Raster, he has also gotten his tech rolls changed up, and it makes him slightly more resistant to vertical knockback, both in combos and for DI. Up special sweet spot hitbox radius has gone from 10 to 15, so that's notably larger. The size of this hitbox was a little too unforgiving for how short range it is, especially against thinner characters whose hurtboxes shift around. So you can see here, it is not a big move, right? Like, Raster's up B is not suddenly crazy, but it's definitely more generous than it was. I'm curious to see how this works. I know it was originally nerfed because he would use it out of shield and kind of boom people that way, but with shields being like worse too, maybe that's okay. Crag also had a pass on his tech rolls and all that. His standing grab range was also reduced. It's not by a ton, right? This is pretty standard. I definitely don't hate that. Opponents that land on pillar during an air dodge will no longer gain intangibility if they were in the recovery windows of air dodge. Neutral air hits 1 and 2 hitfall hitstun multiplier have gone from 0.8 to 1. This hitfall hitstun multiplier was originally added to prevent it from comboing into grab, but now that grab's range has been reduced, the grab follow-up can be avoided with proper DI on top of the already existing counterplay like floor hug. Because of this, we're removing the hitfall hitstun multiplier on these hits. I like this. This means if you DI wrong, Crag can basically drag down into a grab, but you should be getting this DI right, I hope. For a quick bug fix, they fixed a visual bug where Mecha Crag's gears were offset incorrectly during his rolls. For Fleet, she received the same roll speed and fall speed passes, but her slow fall duration, her little float, has gone from 60 to 45 frames. This reduces the amount of time that Fleet can spend stalling off stage while edgeguarding an opponent, slightly increasing the effectiveness of the opponent's recovery mix-ups. Her standing grab also received the nerf pass, and Ledge Special will now reverse based on which side the opponent is on its first active frame, instead of reversing based on the direction it's fired. Previously, Fleet could mix up opponents' DI just by holding left or right, forcing them to guess which way they would be sent. She can still do that if they're above the arrow on the first active frame, but not if they're on stage. Neutral air sweet spot active frames have gone from 3 to 2, and the sour spot active frames have been increased by 1 to maintain the total active frame. Neutral air sweet spot damage has gone from 9 to 7, and its sour spot damage from 6 to 5. Neutral air hit pause multiplies reset to ×1. We're toning down neutral air in a few ways that retain its main strengths. The damage decrease makes it slightly worse on shield. Forward throw's initial toss is now untechable. That's pretty good. I know that it would look kind of weird if you teched a wall, and then we could use some weird interactions there. For a quick bug fix, forward throw's final arrow is now techable. Forward throw guarantees that all 3 arrows hit the opponent by making each hit untechable, but the initial toss being techable led to some weird behavior where the arrows would turn abruptly to hone in on their target. This final hit was also intended to be techable, but was using the same knockback properties as the first 2 arrows. Down throw startup has gone from 15 to 20. This makes the throw less likely to catch opponents off guard before they can DI properly, while still being fast. So you're going to be getting more DI angles correct on this down throw. I know a lot of the times I would get mixed by this and get boomed, so I'm happy to see that get changed. I'm curious how Fleet mains feel about it though. If you play Fleet, let me know. Next, we have Maple, who's always saying like use code LASTSTOCK. Like I think that's a really common Maple catchphrase. Like I just got it to remind you all that she says that all the time. Her forward strong recovery has gone from 30 to 32. This move's range coupled with Maple's seed made it a bit safer than intended, so we're adding a little bit of in lag to it. Her forward air damage has gone from 8 to 10. This makes it better on shield, going from -6 to -4. That's really good. And down throw recovery has gone from 24 to 20. This increases Maple's advantage after using this throw, as previously she could barely follow up, even if they missed the tech. These changes actually look really good for Maple. Spoiler alert, Orcane got a crazy change, and y'all know I'm like big Orcane fan. I'm looking for a new character potentially, so you guys might be seeing me on Maple. Actually, comment down below, is there a character y'all want to see me play? I don't know how many people make it to this part of the video, but I could be influenced right now. I'm really desperate for anything. Next, we have a quick bug fix for Maple, though. They fixed a bug that caused her up special and forward special to be instantly actionable when buffered out of being wrapped. So, that won't be happening anymore. Next, Clarin got the tech roll and the grab speed change passed, and nothing else. This is same thing with Zetterburn, right? Clarin has been a character that people have found to be very strong for a while. I think that she should also be, similarly to Zetterburn, she's a character that plays in a way that I think is healthy for the game, so I think she should always be at least good. However, I would have liked to have seen something done to her. It feels like her and Zetterburn are both very strong, and then the rest of the cast is not far behind them, but I would like to see small tuning to those two characters in the future. Lockstone's roll speed and his tech grab and his hit stun and all that have all been changed universally. Next, Molten Boulder intangibility frames on spawn and hit have gone from 6 to 3. This makes ground and neutral special more vulnerable from the front, since it won't be protected by a large intangible hitbox for so long. Down special will now reset its attack count when using level 1, 2, or 3. This allows the next level 0 down special to stall in its first use instead of starting at the reduced efficacy. Basically, if you didn't know, a lot of moves that stall you in the air or give you some kind of air change will slowly get worse over time. So what this means is that Lockstone will still be able to have his full air stall after he uses maybe like an Eruption 3, right? Standing grab range has been reduced, everyone got this. Jab 1 no longer leans as far back during startup. Previously, he could use the startup of Jab 1 to dodge attacks, which was a problem since Jab 1 is fast and relatively non-committal. Jab 1 active frames have gone from 3 to 2. The size of this move makes it extremely good at safely controlling the space in front of Loxodon instead of shrinking the attack. We're reducing its active frames a bit to balance out its size. Upstrong Sweet Spot can no longer reverse hit. This addresses a rare situation where opponents behind Loxodon would get barely clipped by the Sweet Spot and get sent backwards. I've been hit by this one a few times, it did feel a little bit silly, so I'm glad that is no longer going on. Down air no longer squishes as far upward during the startup. This makes it worse at dodging attacks, but also helps it not cancel before the active frames when rising through a platform at specific heights. I was trying not to giggle at this gif while reading the other notes. He is really moving there. But speaking of moving, let's talk about a character that is no longer moving. Orcane, my favorite little whale friend. I've made him for 8 years. Let's see if this will get me to swap off Orcane. It might. His tech roll speed, get up roll speed, and standing grab have all been hit by the universal balance patch. Frames between bubble hits have gone from 7 to 6, and Puddle will now disappear after being deployed for 12 seconds. With a permanent Puddle, Orcane could always leave it on one side of the stage, and then fight on the other side to make sure that he could use it as a recovery mix-up. Now that it's on a timer, the longer Orcane spins on the other side of the stage, from his Puddle, the faster he'll need to use it before it despawns. It cannot despawn when Orcane is performing an attack, or after Orcane gets KO'd before respawning. Performing a special pummel will reset the Puddle's timer. I guess I can go ahead and talk about this here. I played this on the content creator beta, and this felt bad. I did not think that it would make it to live. There has been past changes on creator betas that felt, I don't want to say similar, right? But in the same vein, right? And they did not make it to live. I think that this is potentially the worst Orcane change I have ever imagined that they could do. I feel like Puddle is a core part of Orcane's kit, and because of this, now I would play more campy on the content creator beta, because if I engaged on an opponent and I took them off stage, I would need my full 12 seconds to ledge guard and then recover. Or if I engaged on an opponent and then I lost, I would also still want those full 12 seconds to be able to choose if I wanted to recover at the wall or to my puddle. I feel like if they wanted to nerf Orcane's recovery, which I think is something they probably should nerf, I think Orcane needed nerfs this patch, similar to Zetterburn and Clarin. I would probably target his kill power. He's got some absurdist kill power, and if you really want to hit the recovery, I feel like you could just make it laggier the further you teleport with the up B, right? Just make it to where he takes a longer amount of time to get like out of the up B, so your opponent can punish it if he really is going across that stage in those fringe instances. I feel like this change, it makes Orcane play slower, it makes the puddle clunkier, and then it makes his recovery less intentional, right? There's times where I would be off stage ledge guarding, my puddle would go away, and then I would die. So overall, I think this is a very bad change. I don't know if I'll be playing Orcane going forward quite as often. But also, maybe that's my bias as an Orcane main. Maybe this is like, I'm going to be on like delusional rivals takes, twitter.com, you know. Like, feel free to clip this. I think this change feels really bad for Orcane, though, even though I do think that he needed some kind of whacking, right? He was definitely a little bit too good, in my opinion. Next, bubble lifetime has gone from 40 to 35 changes. The intent of these changes is to give Orcane less time, around 6 frames on average, to react to the opponent's ASDI, while still allowing for follow-ups on down special and up throw. Bubble hitbox radius has gone from 15 to 25. This makes them a bit more consistent for both hitting the opponent and getting parried, making up for their random movement. Up air landing lag has gone from 12 to 14. This makes up air juggles a little bit tighter. So overall, Orcane has been hit across the board on things like bubbles and his juggles, but then his recovery and his puddle are also really, really rough now. I'm curious to see how the community reacts to these changes. Obviously, I normally don't criticize changes too hard here. I'm kind of a fence sitter whenever it comes to that, but this change I think is really abysmal, but maybe it makes fighting Orcane like really good for other people, and if it does, like maybe that's worth it then, right? Like maybe the Orcane players just kind of have to tank that. There's definitely been like patches in the past where it's like Crag's recovery got really bad, and then they reverted it a little bit too, so maybe that happens, maybe they extend how long it stays out. I'm not too sure. I just personally do not believe that change will have the effect they were hoping for it to. Next, we're moving on to Forest Burn though. He got a handful of passes on his tech and ledge roll, and then his double jump animation has been raised slightly. This will also reduce the disjoint of his ledge grab box when double jumping to the stage. Standing grab has also been reduced, that's a general universal pass. And then the new empowered special pummel. This is a full move rework, I believe. Force Burn will spawn a clone, who then throws the opponent in a random direction while Force Burn is actionable behind him. Force Burn can now command his clone by pressing the parry button when holding an opponent after grabbing them. This allows him to command Super Clone to attack without performing a pummel himself. Ledge Attack now has a hitbox at the bottom of the first 2 frames. This removes the dead zone where the move could whiff against recovering opponents. So this is good, just makes it a little bit more consistent. And for a quick bug fix, they fixed a bug where canceling Give Up Special while empowered would leave you with the Super Clone that responded to your special presses like a normal clone. So overall, I've seen this new Force Burn special pummel in action. Whenever they announced they were doing a Force Burn move rework, I assumed this was it. The special pummel's always been a little bit lacking, but I think that what we need to get down, what's very important, is you have to be in the empowered state. So you have to have all 3 of your smokestacks. You won't spawn a clone with special pummel normally, only if you already have the 3 smokestacks. It's really, really sick in game. It's actually bugged right now where you can spawn like a lot of little Force Burns, which is kind of fun, but definitely not intentional. But overall, I like this change a lot. I think it makes Force Burn a lot more interesting, since previously his old special pummel did nothing if you couldn't spawn smoke. Next, Edelis's roll speed and all that has been adjusted universally. His standing grab range was also reduced. I always forget how silly his grab animation is. I'm a fan of this one. Ice armor can now only be removed when Edelis is hit with a hitbox or thrown. This prevents him from losing armor to passive damage like Zetterburn Fire. The armor will still lose health anytime he takes damage, but can only be fully removed by hit. I like this, it kind of keeps it from being kind of random. If a damage over time breaks your armor, now you'll have a little bit more of a sign where it's like, okay, I'm getting hit, it's breaking. Neutral special shield damage multiplier has gone way up. This makes it deal 45 shield damage, a full shield has 50 health, making it much more terrifying on shield. Getting hit out of his up special while it's charging will now increment his up special counter. Previously, he would only receive diminishing returns on up special if he actually launched, but now the opponent will be rewarded more for interrupting him while charging. This is kind of crazy, especially whenever you combine it with the wall jump change as well, with those getting diminished returns. I feel like Adelis's recovery might notably be worse this patch, and it was already like, well, duh, like not a good recovery, right? So I'm very curious how Adelis mains feel about this. Upstrong Hit 1 now has 2 hitboxes at the top and last active frame. This makes it less likely for opponents to be hit by the hit of Hit 1, and they can launch too high for Hit 2 to connect. I like this. Adelis's Upstrong has always been really inconsistent, so making it more consistent, that's good. For a quick bug fix, they fixed a bug that prevented the Ice is Right achievement from triggering. For Olympia, she also had the General Balance patch, and then crystallized opponents will now break out of the crystal when colliding with the ceiling. This makes it consistent with its wall collision barrier, and makes it work better on stages with ceilings like Fire Tower. For a quick bug fix, Neutral Special's projectile will no longer set up a gem field if Olympia is KO'd whenever it finishes its trajectory. For its special gem hit leap, window duration has gone from 36 to 40. Pressing special after 20 frames of For its special's gem hit leap window will now toss the gem early. This adds some flexibility to when she throws the gem, and extends the range when she can slam it into the ground. This is really cool. It gives Olympia a little bit more depth with the gem grab move. I never did really think that this move was like crazy good, so maybe having more mix-up on it will help that a little bit. Down tilt all hitboxes radius have been increased by 5 centimeters. This move was a little too stubby for how many different hitboxes and knockback angles it has, so we're increasing the size of all the hitboxes slightly. I like this. I feel like Olympia was definitely lacking in the previous patch. She was really good whenever she got a hit, but it was hard for her to get a hit, so making that a little bit easier might be really great for her. Down tilt tip hitbox knockback angle has been edited, and then so has the hitbox in the middle. This increases the reward on outer hits of down tilt, as the range is still very short, and we want to reward Olympia for closing distances on her opponent. Back throw knockback angle has gone from 125 to 120, and its recovery from 25 to 21. This increases the effectiveness of back throw against suboptimal DIs, while still allowing the full escape with good DI. I like this, it just gives Olympia another mix-up option. And her up throw recovery has gone from 32 to 30. We're reverting the recovery increase reduced in patch 1.3.3 because of the air mobility changes in patch 1.5.5. Decrease the throw's effectiveness just a bit too much when combined. I like this. I feel like Olympia's up throw is definitely notably worse, but I couldn't really put my finger on it, so hopefully this makes it feel a lot better. For Absa, her general balanced patches went over her, and then her hitstun max fall speed has gone from 17 to 19.5. They say that Absa was a bit of an outlier when it came to vertical knockback resistance, being extremely hard to combo and extremely easy to KO. She'll still be the most extreme in both of these categories, excluding Gouie, but not by such a severe margin, so Absa's knockback will be a little bit different now. For a quick bug fix, they fixed a bug that doubled up with Up Special's ledge grab box when it was traveling straight downwards. This was a mechanic that existed when Up Special's ledge grab box could only be extended in front of Absa, and was unintentionally left in when the ledge grab box was adjusted to reach both sides. Up Special Recovery 1 start window length has gone from 3 to 5. Up Special Recovery 2 start window length has gone from 12 to 17, so pretty big nerf to Absa's recovery. These windows are the stalled recovery windows that Absa goes through before she can cancel Up Special into an attack. These changes increase the punishability of Up Special, especially on the second zip. This does not increase the time between Up Special zips. Okay, so it's not on the startup, but it's between, like, if you up B and then you can attack because you touch the stage, that's going to be like a lot worse now. So opponents will have a lot more time to react. Up Special damage has gone from 4 to 3. This lowers the amount of damage that Absa can rack up while using this move to poke at the opponent. For a quick bug fix though, they fixed a bug that caused Up Special to move backwards when hitting something on the frame after passing the corner of a solid object or platform. Jab 1 and 2 recoveries have gone from 10 to 15, that's crazy. This makes her jab more committal, since her close quarter pressure was a bit stronger than intended, and closing the distance on Absa should usually be a rewarding position. This does not affect the cancel windows, so jab and tilt follow-ups will be unchanged. I guess that's good if you can still cancel it into a tilt, you were probably doing that anyways. But yeah, this feels crazy. I feel like Absa's jab was already not the best jab, but it was good for sure. Jab 1 and 2 inner hitbox radius have gone from 45 to 35. This decreases the inward range of her jab. So her jab's going to be even smaller, she's not going to be poking at people quite as easily if they're maybe like standing right on top of her. For Galvin, I've heard some chatter that Galvin is pretty good this patch, but let's see what's the tea. He received the general balance patch that everyone got. Jab 3 minimum number of hits before the finisher has gone from 5 to 3. This allows him to more quickly get to the final hit, giving opponents less of a chance to escape if he doesn't choose to hold it. I feel like his jab 3 just kind of never connected into the finisher unless you like held in on him, which is like pretty silly. Like, why would you do that? So I'm glad to see this got a little balance pass here. Hitting with an attack that spawns a drill will now preserve his galvanized status. This is crazy. This allows him to finish combos with a drill spawning attack without sacrificing his galvanized status. It also allows him to go for risky down airs off stage, since he'll now be able to recover if these hit. I feel like this is very nuts, because whenever Galvan first came out, one of my big problems was like, oh, you just can't go low with the spike because then you lose your recovery platform and then you die. But now you don't. You keep your recovery platform as long as your opponent doesn't revenge hit you. So you can double dunk kind of similar to Maple now and then still make it back, which I think is cool. It might be a bit too good. I feel like Galvan's pretty good right now. Or he's not good, but he's like solid, right? So this might be kind of crazy. Special Pummel's Magnetize will now become weaker when the opponent is more than 10 meters away horizontally, reaching 0 effect at 15 meters. It will also not pull opponents whose horizontal knockback velocity is greater than 26 centimeters a frame. This prevents Magnetize from messing up his KO moves, since they won't affect them at high percents. Oh, this is cool, just a quality of life for Special Pummel, but it should feel still good out of throws. For a little bug fix to cap us off, they fixed a bug that would cause CPU Galvan to perform a neutral angled up special when only a forward angled one would reach the ledge. So CPU Galvan, you are saved, you are not chopped anymore. Lorena, I've heard Lorena had a few nerfs in this patch, which she probably did need. We received the general balance patch that kind of went over, and then her standing grab is just kind of like missing this whole hands grab box, so it's a lot smaller now. Char will no longer be destroyed when passing the side blast zones. This allows Lorena to use her chair even when right next to the blast zone, which can occasionally be useful when trying to avoid edgeguard attempts. The chair bottom blast zone buffer distance has gone from 1 to 2 meters. This makes the chair take slightly longer to despawn when falling into the bottom blast zone, giving Lorena more time to recall it while also extending the time before its cooldown starts. For a bug fix, neutral special chair recall location will now move inwards if her hand is inside a solid platform. This prevents some weird situations where the chair would struggle to return to Lorena. Forward special spike hit pause multiplier has gone by 1 to 0.5. This makes teching this move on stage more lenient, since you won't be locked out of teching for quite as long, while also making it less reactable on hit. This is something she really needed, especially online. The move was really cool, where it would like dunk you really fast, but it was really hard to tech, so I'm glad it's more reactable now. Up special recovery on hit has gone from 16 to 26, that is a big number change. This forces Lorena to land after slamming an opponent into the ground in most cases, solidifying this move as a finisher instead of a strong combo tool. The further she falls with this move, the higher she bounces, so she can still avoid landing if she falls far enough before slamming the opponent. Up special will now go into the land state when landing during an on-hit recovery window. This combines with the change above to fix a visual bug, but allows her to cancel the recovery early if she lands earlier than normal, usually due to an upward moving platform. Down special's roll resource will now be consumed on the first startup frame. This rewards opponents for interrupting the startup of this incredibly strong recovery tool. This also means the resource will be consumed if the roll fails due to the chair being on cooldown. This is kind of crazy, so you're going to have to be a lot more careful recovering with Lorena. I don't really mind this, I feel like her recovery is meant to be bad, and it was not necessarily bad previously. Down special's roll can no longer hit projectiles. This makes it more vulnerable to projectiles while recovering. This does not affect interactions with her chair. Dash attack spike hitbox has shrunk and been moved forwards. This makes it later active frames of dash attack less disjointed. The hitbox has also been moved forward so that this attack must be aimed a little more precisely during the edge guards. So you're not going to be getting quite as generous spikes here as Lorena, which is probably good. There would be some points where I would put people off stage and then they would have to recover at wall and I would just do the dash attack and they would die, right? They didn't really have a whole lot they could do. So making this move a little bit harder to get full value out of is pretty cool. Forward and up strong one hit can no longer hit projectiles. This makes them function more like the grabs than hit grabs against projectiles, since they are technically both. This change does not include projectiles that can't be grabbed, like Chair or Crag's Rock. Up air recovery after breaking through the table has gone from 28 to 36 frames. This reduces the range of percents where Lorena can get another up air after an on DIN. This only affects her when landing on the table, not the platform held up by her adoring fans. So she'll still get double up air combos on DIN. This basically means that the table spawns after you've landed on the platform once, so if you use up air 3 times in a row, it's a lot less consistent now, but getting it 2 times in a row should feel the exact same. I like this change a lot. It shaves off the most absurd parts of her combo and her 0 to deaths, right? but it still allows her to have deep combos that take you far off stage and get full value from those, right? So her advantage state should still be good, it just won't be quite as absurd. Down air knockback angle has gone from 75 to 72. Even after the last angle change for this move, it was still confirming too freely into her strongest finishers, regardless of the opponent's DI. This change lets the opponent get further away from Lorena with the correct DI, often limiting her to more long-ranged options like forward air instead of her up air. So nice change here. Down air was like almost like a true confirmed grab, right? Like you really couldn't do anything out of this move, but now you'll have a little bit more options, so I'm a big fan of that. Next up we have Slade. I was told that Slade actually got nerfed, which is very surprising to me. I don't think he was very good, but let's see what's up. He got the general balance patch, which was a nerf, but everyone got that, right? That doesn't count. Forward special 3 downward will now prevent ground bounces when hitting aerial opponents. This preserves its previous functionality with the newly lowered ground bounce threshold. Forward air hit 1's tip hitbox moved closer to the gameplay plane for its first active frame. Previously, it could whiff against opponents at the furthest spacing due to the hitbox being too far in the foreground. This change makes it more likely to hit at max ranges on the first active frame. Boomerang will now reflect if parried in the first 30 active frames after being thrown. This makes it behave like other similar projectiles on parry, while retaining the previous behavior when it gets parried on the way back. Treasure chest pickup range has been adjusted to be a rectangle instead of a circle. Previously, taller items would have shorter effective pickup ranges, since the item center must be in the treasure chest's range. This change makes it more consistently pick up items near its edges. The treasure chest pickup range has also gone from 180 cm to 200. This allows it to pick up items from slightly further away. And treasure chest can now fire items in the hurt state if its owner was the last player to hit it. This allows Slade to quickly reposition his chest without locking himself out of commanding it. Pirate Hook's grab now reaches 40 cm lower on the first active frame. This prevents situations where it would whiff at point blank range against characters really low to the ground. And the Pirate Hook icon will now be grayed out when Slade has used his Pirate Hook resource. I don't really see where the crazy Slade nerf is on this patch. I was expecting for him to get a little bit of a buff. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't. However, I do not think that Slade is going to be so terrible this patch. I just am a little bit confused why not. I mean, I guess they buffed Olympia, right? Like, she was pretty bad. I would say her and Slade were in the bottom tier together. Why not buff both Olympia and Slade and then whack Claren and Zetterburn just a little bit? They didn't need it too much, but just a little. But you know, I don't do game design. That's not on me to decide. In Gouie, he's got a pretty interesting patch. I'm not sure how this will affect the meta, but he exists now. So you better watch out. I won't spend too long rambling in the post of this video. Let me know what you guys think of the changes. I'm very curious actually what y'all think of the Arcane changes. Am I like delusional like as an Arcane player and being like, oh my god, like this change sucks, and then it's like actually good for the game? Like, let me know what you think about this. I've talked to a few non-Arcane player friends in the beta, and they did not like this change either, so I'm curious what the general public thinks of it. But overall, that's the patch. Let me know what you think. Is it W or L patch? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!